What if I told you the very thing you're most afraid of? Rejection is actually your greatest weapon. Every no you've ever heard wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to build you. Today, I'm going to reveal how the sting of rejection can transform into unstoppable power, and why the people who rise the highest are the ones who dare to turn their setbacks into fire. Rejection arrives like a sudden stop on a crowded street, and the instinct is to freeze, to question every step that led here. But what if that stop is actually a turn sign, blinking insistently toward a different route that better suits the person you are becoming? When doors close, they do not always do so to punish. Many times they close because another entrance is waiting, quieter and more aligned. Learning to read rejection as a directional cue requires a shift in language. From "I failed" to "I was redirected." That small swap of words matters because language shapes posture, and posture shapes the next move toward opportunity. There is power in choosing perspective. The exact same event can be a defeat or a detour, depending on the lens through which it is viewed. Every rejection carries information, a map of what didn't fit and a hint toward what might fit better if one pays attention. Treat each no like a note from life that contains a lesson, a subtle calibration toward an authentic path rather than a detour for its own sake. This mindset doesn't erase the sting, but it transforms pain into practical intelligence that improves future choices. When redirected with curiosity rather than shame, the journey becomes less about seeking permission and more about cultivating purpose. Imagine the career that was supposed to be a straight line, but turned into a college of unexpected stops and pivots. Those pivots are not chaotic mistakes. They are strategic edits that refine vision and sharpen intention, like a sculptor finding form in marble. A rejected audition, a passed over promotion, or an ignored proposal are not bullet points of inadequacy, but refinements of direction. Each instance removes what is out of sync and reveals what remains. And often what remains is the true core of what one was meant to build. It is important to catalog these moments without shame, to write them down not as failures, but as coordinates on a personal map. From those coordinates emerge patterns, recurring misalignments, underestimated strengths, and opportunities that hadn't been imagined before. Mapping those patterns allows smarter moves. Instead of pushing against the same closed door, one finds windows and back alleys that lead to the same summit. This approach requires curiosity paired with courage, the courage to examine the reasons for rejection and the curiosity to explore the alternatives. When the compass becomes self-knowledge, rejection is no longer random cruelty, but an elegant, if blunt, teacher leading one to a truer beginning. Then every professional setback is not the end of a story, but the redirection toward a richer chapter waiting to be written. There is a freedom that comes from detaching identity from outcome, from refusing to synonymize worth with acceptance. People often internalize rejection and wear it like a badge of shame, forgetting that external decisions rarely reflect inner value. Detachment is an act of sovereignty. It says the person remains whole regardless of external votes or marketplace verdicts. When identity remains intact, rejection becomes less like an earthquake and more like seasonal weather, noticeable but not annihilating. This perspective offers a practical advantage. With identity secure, risk becomes less terrifying and experimentation more honest. Risk and experimentation are the laboratories where redirection reveals its gifts, new skills, new allies, and fresh channels of expression. Refusing to define oneself by approvals also invites a bolder auditioning of life, where choices are made from curiosity rather than fear of loss. That boldness changes how rejection lands. It becomes data to iterate with, not evidence to withdraw because the foundation is intact. As resilience grows, the noise of rejection fades into the background and a clearer rhythm of purpose begins to shape daily action. Power arises when one can stay centered through storms and still choose the next direction with intention. The practical work of redirecting begins with honest inventory. What opened, what closed, and what was learned in the middle. Take time to list responses to rejection, which reactions were helpful, and which were habitual traps that pulled energy away from growth. Is the immediate impulse to apologize, to explain, to shrink, Or is there space carved out instead for reflection and planning? Where shame intrudes, replace it with curiosity. Ask precise questions about fit, timing, or communication rather than rehearsing self-blame. Turning rejection into redirection also requires experimentation in the real world. Try different roles, styles, or audiences without emotional foreclosure. Small tests reduce the risk of large heartbreak and reveal which directions genuinely resonate versus those that only look appealing on paper. Surrounding oneself with honest advisors who will point out patterns without judgment is vital. External mirrors speed up learning. Create a feedback loop. Make a hypothesis about the next move, test it quickly, collect results, and refine the plan with nimble adjustments. This scientific approach to life reduces drama and increases momentum, converting painful stops into useful pivots and accelerated growth. When systems replace shame, redirection becomes a repeatable skill rather than a one-off coping mechanism. Stories of redirection often carry surprising emotional gifts, unexpected mentors, relationships, and capacities that would never have surfaced otherwise. A closed door can reveal a window to creativity that had been dormant, or introduce a collaborator who sees the work with newfound clarity. Gratitude practice toward redirection changes its texture from bitterness into appreciation for the complexity of one's trajectory. Gratitude does not mean pretending injury didn't occur. It means acknowledging the full spectrum of experience while choosing to credit what opened next. That practice rewires memory instead of cataloging only the hurt. One also tracks the gifts, the new skills, the resilience, and the unexpected allies. When the story is told that way, rejection loses its monopoly on meaning and becomes part of a larger narrative that includes triumphs and missteps alike. Sharing that narrative publicly can also be a radical act. Vulnerability about past redirections invites others to reframe their own setbacks. Leadership built on that honesty is magnetic because it humanizes struggle and makes the path forward feel attainable to others. Redirection, in this sense, becomes not only personal navigation but also communal currency that helps others chart their courses. Power grows when private recalibration becomes public wisdom, instructive for a chorus of people searching for their next steps. To treat rejection as redirection is to become fluent in the language of second chances and alternative routes. This fluency requires humility, the willingness to accept that the initial plan was not the only plan worth following. It also requires audacity, the courage to try again in new directions with the lessons folded into every attempt. Pivoting does not equal compromising. It often means aligning more closely with gifts and truths that were hidden beneath expectation. When rejection clears the space of misfit opportunities, it allows more room for authenticity to breathe and expand. Living with that intention moves the focus from external validation to internal alignment, which in turn attracts opportunities that resonate. This magnetism is practical. When work aligns with identity, persistence becomes sustainable, and success becomes less fragile. The narrative of redirection transforms failure into a curriculum, and each setback into a syllabus item to be studied thoroughly. That disciplined approach to rejection cultivates a long game that few who fear the first can ever master. And so the person who learns to read redirection not only endures rejection, but eventually orchestrates it into a powerful map forward. There is a quiet audacity in owning your story exactly as it is, scars and all, because authenticity does not ask permission before it arrives. When the instinct is to hide imperfections, choose instead to illuminate them. Vulnerability becomes the light that guides others. Owning flaws means naming them without apology, and then choosing actions that do not allow those flaws to dictate worth. People who embrace their full selves stop shrinking to fit rooms that were never made for them in the first place. Authenticity is an act of rebellion in a world that monetizes perfection and sells edited versions of success. When you wear your truth openly, you unburden the energy that goes into pretending and redirect it into purposeful momentum. That energy fuels better choices and bolder experiments because decisions are no longer filtered through fear of judgment. Owning your story also recalibrates relationships. It invites those who can hold realness and reveals who cannot. This practice does not grant immunity from criticism, but it does make criticism less able to erode your sense of self. Power rises from alignment between inner truth and outward expression. And that alignment is built one honest admission at a time. There is strength in telling the real version of events instead of polishing them for public consumption or safety. When narratives are cleaned up to appease others, something essential is lost, the nuance that shapes empathy and connection. Authenticity creates resonance. People lean toward those who speak plainly about struggle because it signals courage. Admitting uncertainty about a path or confessing a mistake expands the room for learning rather than shrinking it. Confession is not weakness when it is paired with responsibility and a clear intention to change or improve. The brave choice is to say, I was wrong or I don't know yet, and then to act in accordance with that admission. That kind of leadership feels rare and therefore valuable in any arena where people crave human examples. When authenticity is modeled, teams take healthier risks, conversations become richer, and creativity is less inhibited. This approach converts personal transparency into a strategic advantage that cannot be replicated by curated facades. In short, telling the whole truth recalibrates influence from admiration of surface to respect for substance. Letting go of performance perfection invites experimentation, and experimentation is the crucible of growth. Perfectionism is often a disguised fear of rejection, a belief that only an impeccable mask will be accepted. Releasing the need to perform perfectly frees up mental bandwidth for practice, iteration, and joyful mistakes. When mistakes are treated as data rather than destiny, they become the raw material of refinement and mastery. The person who experiments publicly teaches others permission to try, fail, and try again with dignity intact. Experimentation also reveals unexpected strengths. Tasks attempted without the pressure of flawless delivery can uncover hidden talents. Cultivating a practice mindset reduces the paralysis of over-analysis and increases the velocity of progress. Progress measured by learning rather than by flawless execution shifts self-evaluation from shame to curiosity. This mindset does not excuse negligence. It simply reframes failure as a teacher and not a verdict on identity. Embracing imperfection, therefore, becomes a deliberate strategy for building durable confidence and sustainable success. Community is a powerful mirror when chosen with intention because the people around you influence what you believe is possible. Surrounding yourself with honest supporters who call you to growth is different from surrounding yourself with flatterers. Seek relationships that challenge kindly, that reflect back both your blind spots and your strengths without malice. Mentors who have navigated adversity can offer perspective that reduces the loneliness of struggle and accelerates learning. Peer groups committed to mutual elevation create a culture where authenticity and accountability coexist. Invest in people who model resilience, celebrate real effort, and refuse to let small defeats define a career. The right community also helps translate private breakthroughs into public opportunities by amplifying genuine work. Networks formed around shared values rather than transactional gain tend to yield richer collaborations and deeper trust. Choose companions who encourage experiments and hold space for honest debriefs after risks are taken. In that ecosystem, owning one's story becomes less risky because the community holds both the fall and the rise. Language shapes identity. Small shifts in vocabulary change how setbacks are internalized and how energy is allocated. Replace I failed with I learned to open up possibility instead of sealing off the next attempt. Swap I'm not ready for I'm preparing to turn paralysis into a timeline of incremental actions. Words are practice. The more they reflect resilience and curiosity, the more they create habit and muscle memory. Choosing empowering language is not naive positivity. It is a strategic investment in the neural pathways of confidence. When speech models dignity under pressure, behavior tends to follow, and habits of courage become easier to sustain. Guard against language that infantilizes struggle or reduces complex experience to moral failures and shame. Instead, cultivate a vocabulary that credits effort, recognizes growth, and names lessons with specificity. That precision in language makes it easier to design next steps and to measure progress without self-condemnation. Ultimately, the right words do not change history, but they profoundly change how history is carried forward. Boundaries are essential so authenticity does not become self-exposure to harm. They protect the container in which truth can thrive. Saying no is not a denial of generosity, it is an affirmation of where energy should be preserved to do better work. Boundaries clarify values and prevent the dilution of purpose that comes from trying to please everyone. When limits are communicated with respect and firmness, they earn trust rather than resentment over time. Boundaries also create predictability for others, signaling what kinds of requests will receive wholehearted engagement. Protecting time, attention, and emotional bandwidth allows authenticity to be practiced without burnout. Boundaries are not walls erected out of fear, they are fences that keep the garden of integrity well tended. The discipline to enforce limits becomes a form of self-respect that others quickly come to mirror. Teaching people how to treat you is part of owning your story and defending the dignity that comes with it. Boundaries, practiced consistently, make sustainable boldness possible by preserving the resources needed to stay true. Resilience is not a single trait, but a set of habits that can be cultivated through daily practices and commitments. Routine matters. Small rituals that reinforce worth help weather external rejection without collapsing into despair. Daily practices like reflection, movement, and focused work stitch a safety net under days that feel precarious. Resilience also grows from celebration. Naming small wins keeps morale buoyant and attention on progress. When wins are acknowledged, even quietly, they accumulate into a portfolio of evidence against self-doubt. Another habit is deliberate rest. Replenishment is not optional but foundational for sustained creativity and courage. Resilience training includes learning to reframe setbacks quickly so momentum is not lost to rumination. Accountability partners accelerate this training because they help sustain the practices when motivation wanes. Over time, these habits compound, turning nervous energy into steady focus and scattered efforts into coherent advancement. That compounding produces a sturdier base from which authenticity becomes not just possible but inevitable. Choosing authenticity over approval is a daily decision that rewires life toward meaning rather than applause. Power built on approval is fragile because it is beholden to external tides that shift without notice. Power rooted in authenticity is steadier. It grows from consistent alignment between purpose and action. When choices are made from inner conviction rather than from the desire to be liked, work becomes more meaningful. Meaning, in turn, attracts attention that is more durable because it is drawn to substance rather than spectacle. Living with that intention requires courage to disappoint sometimes because truth-telling may unsettle the status quo. Yet the long-term dividend is worth the short-term discomfort, sustained respect, deeper relationships, and richer impact. This path is not easier, but it is truer, and truth builds influence that survives scrutiny and time. Daily practice of honest living transforms small moments into a mosaic of integrity that others want to join. Owning one's story fully, therefore, becomes both a personal liberation and a leadership practice that changes the game. There is a quiet violence in a single no when it lands unexpectedly, but there is equal potential in the way a person answers it. Resilience is not an innate armor bestowed at birth. It is a set of responses practiced until they become instinct. Every refusal encountered is a small training ground where the muscle of persistence is either exercised or atrophied. Treat rejection like graded resistance in a workout. It should challenge but not break, and it should build a stronger core. When faced with a no, the first move is to steady the breath, name the feeling, and delay the reactive story. That delay creates a space to pass what the no truly says about fit, timing, or preparation rather than worth. From that analytical place, one can decide whether to adapt, persist differently, or redirect energy toward another pursuit. Each choice made from clarity rather than panic deposits resilience into the bank account of future responses. Over time, these deposits compound, and the instinctive reaction to rejection shifts from collapse to calibration. Resilience, then, becomes a practiced posture, a reliable stance taken again and again under pressure. The anatomy of resilience includes emotional regulation, narrative control, and tactical action, all practiced daily. Emotional regulation means learning to acknowledge hurt without letting it hijack decision-making and momentum. Narrative control is the discipline of telling a story about the no that is useful rather than destructive. Tactical action translates that story into small, immediate steps that restore agency and forward motion. When these elements are rehearsed, rejection stops being a derailment and becomes a data point for improvement. Simple rituals help: a brief walk, journal notes about lessons learned, and a quick plan for the next micro move. These practices rewire the brain to see obstacles as informative rather than as moral indictments. They reduce the time spent ruminating and increase the time spent experimenting with new approaches. The person who trains in this way gains not only stamina but also precision in future attempts. That precision is what converts repeated no's into a refined trajectory of progress. Resilience is also a story told over time, constructed from countless small recoveries no one notices. Nobody sees the midnight rehearsals, the awkward pitches, or the drafts thrown away between attempts. Those invisible efforts are the scaffolding of visible breakthroughs, and they deserve deliberate recognition. Celebrate micro wins to create a ledger that balances the weight of public setbacks and private labor. Naming incremental progress. A clearer pitch, a new contact, a lesson applied builds psychological credit. This ledger protects against catastrophizing because it provides tangible evidence that effort yields improvement. When the ledger is thick, a single rejection cannot erase weeks or months of accumulated competence. This perspective makes resilience less about stoic endurance and more about cumulative craftsmanship. It makes it easier to show up again because the memory includes the many times one did show up. And that memory, quietly stored, becomes the quiet courage that steadies future attempts. Practice reframing is a technique that transforms the sting of a no into actionable insight. Ask 3 specific questions. What did I learn? What can I control next? Who can help me iterate? Those questions shift attention from blame toward curiosity and problem solving, which are energizing. Learning, focused questions reduce shame by separating identity from outcome and focusing on skill acquisition. Controlling the controllables keeps effort concentrated on variables that actually influence future success. And seeking others to help invites perspective that often shortens the learning curve dramatically. This stride of questions can be run as a quick loop after any setback to harvest practical lessons. Doing it repeatedly trains the brain to automatically scan for adaptation instead of rehearsing defeat. As this loop becomes habitual, rejection begins to function like a mentor rather than an executioner. That mentorship, internalized, becomes the engine of a resilient career and a steady creative life. A resilient mindset refuses to personalize every refusal as a metaphysical verdict on worth. External decisions reflect many factors beyond individual value: timing, fit, market dynamics, and luck. Distinguishing those forces from personal deficiency is critical to maintaining morale and a clear strategy. It helps to catalog external factors separately from performance factors to see what can be changed. This kind of forensic honesty about setbacks prevents the trap of globalizing a single failure into identity. When a no is passed accurately, it becomes a tactical problem, not an existential crisis to be solved. That insight preserves energy for productive adaptation and reduces the paralysis that follows overgeneralization. It also protects relationships and future opportunities because responses remain measured rather than defensive. Learning to separate the personal from the circumstantial is an essential resilience skill to cultivate. Over the long haul, that separation allows persistence to be sustainable rather than exhausting. Build an environment that supports recovery and iteration because resilience is social as well as personal. Friends who listen without fixing, mentors who give candid feedback, and peers who normalize struggle all matter. Create a small council of truth, tellers who will both cheer and correct with empathy and directness. Avoid isolation after a setback, because solitude often amplifies negative narratives and shrinks perspective. Deliberate sharing of lessons learned not only helps process emotion, but also builds accountability to act. Communities committed to growth reduce the shame of failure and increase the velocity of recovery. They also open doors to collaborations and opportunities that might not appear when working in isolation. Choose networks that reward effort and iteration over superficial success and image management. Invest in those relationships early because social capital often pays back in timing and access. A supportive environment makes bouncing back faster and experimentation safer. Resilience requires small, repeatable habits that scaffold long-term toughness rather than dramatic displays. Consistency beats intensity when the goal is to make grit habitual and reliable under stress. A daily routine that includes reflection, incremental practice, and rest builds reserves to draw from during crises. Micro habits like writing one paragraph, making one call, or pitching one idea daily keep skills sharp. Rest habits are equally important. Recovery replenishes the cognitive and emotional resources necessary for resilience. Over-reliance on adrenaline-driven pushes without replenishment leads to brittle endurance and burnout. Therefore, resilience is as much about pacing and stewardship of energy as it is about courage. Treat the long game like a marathon. Train steadily, refill often, and measure progress incrementally. Those small, sustainable practices create a baseline of resilience that scales when pressures intensify. Habitual maintenance is the quiet infrastructure beneath dramatic comebacks. Learning to extract meaningful feedback from rejection is a craft that rewards disciplined curiosity. Be specific when seeking feedback and ask questions that lead to actionable advice rather than vague comfort. When asking for critique, request examples, alternatives, and a clear sense of where fit was missing. Disentangle opinions from evidence by triangulating feedback from multiple trusted sources. Then synthesize that input into a prioritized improvement list with timelines for small experiments. This methodical approach prevents paralysis by analysis and gives a roadmap for iterative testing. Document what changes were tried and what worked, so future refusals can be evaluated against new attempts. This documentation accelerates mastery because it converts ephemeral lessons into reusable templates. Approaching rejection like a research project increases agency and converts disappointment into purposeful work. Mastery of this craft makes resilience intentional rather than accidental. Teach yourself to tell a better internal story after a no, because narrative shapes future choices profoundly. Replace catastrophic scripts with narratives of apprenticeship and refinement that honor effort and possibility. Speak to yourself with the dignity you would offer a brave friend who tried and stumbled but learned. Use language that credits action and acknowledges pain without inflating it into final judgment. A disciplined internal narration reduces rumination and keeps attention fixed on the next constructive step. Over time, that narration becomes the default soundtrack that accompanies risk-taking rather than undermining it. Practice rewriting old losses into chapters of development, where each setback contributes to an unfolding arc. That habit trains imagination to see continuations rather than endings, which is essential for persistent pursuit. A resilient narrator in your head is one of the most underrated tools for long-term success. Cultivating that voice makes the difference between a career derailed by fear and a life shaped by intentional growth. Finally, resilience is strengthened when purpose is clarified and prioritized, because meaning sustains effort. When work aligns with a deeper conviction, the sting of a single no is cushioned by the broader mission. Purpose acts like a gravitational field that keeps action oriented, even when external validations fluctuate. Spend time articulating the why behind endeavors so that setbacks can be measured against meaningful ends. That clarity allows one to reallocate effort strategically and to persist through cycles of rejection with resolve. Purposeful commitment transforms temporary obstacles into tests of dedication rather than signs of misfit. When the mission is larger than immediate outcomes, resilience becomes an ethical choice aligned with identity. This alignment makes it easier to wake up each day ready to try again, refine, and pursue with integrity. Purpose, maintained and revisited, is the lodestar that resilience orients around during confusing nights. And that lodestar keeps steady hands on the wheel as new challenges and new no's continue to arrive. There is a fierce clarity in choosing to let rejection stoke intention rather than extinguish resolve. Think of every closed door as a coal that, when fanned, becomes a steady ember. That ember can light a candle, a torch, or an entire bonfire depending on how you tend it. Refusal is not absence of talent. Often it is an invitation to sharpen method and deepen craft. When rejection arrives, name it briefly, then ask which part of the process needs refinement. Channel the raw energy of disappointment into a focused plan of small, deliberate experiments. Fuel your ambition with rehearsal, not rage. Practice yields traction where fury only exhausts. Those who convert rejection into momentum are disciplined about turning feelings into concrete actions. Power grows when emotion is harnessed into strategy, rather than allowed to become an excuse. Choose to be a conductor of your energy, directing intensity toward the next intelligent attempt. Let the sting of denial serve as a lens that clarifies what truly matters to you. Not every loss deserves the same emotional currency. Prioritize what aligns with your core purpose. Ask whether the opportunity you pursued reflected your values or someone else's expectations. When pursuits are aligned with meaning, setbacks feel like checkpoints rather than dead ends. This clarity helps you conserve fire for projects that will return meaningful, long-term dividends. It also teaches ruthless kindness to decline distractions that siphon energy from your true aims. Aligning ambition with values turns rejection into a pruning tool that strengthens the essential branches. Pruning is not cruel, it is necessary maintenance to encourage healthier and more fruitful growth. When direction is refined, power becomes sustainable because it is built on carefully chosen priorities. The lesson is simple: invest heat where soil is fertile, and watch purpose bearing roots deepen. Cultivate rituals that transform emotional volatility into habitual momentum, so momentum becomes reliable. Small practices repeated daily create reserves you can draw on when the world offers resistance. Write for 10 minutes, make one strategic call, or pitch one targeted idea each morning. These micro actions accumulate into an unstoppable rhythm that makes setbacks harder to derail. Rituals are immune to mood swings. Doing the work even on low days compounds progress silently. They teach discipline and craft more effectively than sporadic, adrenaline-fueled bursts ever could. When rituals exist, rejection becomes one data point rather than a defining punctuation in your story. Over time, consistent practice builds a portfolio of competence that reduces the sting of denial. The person who honors small, daily commitments accrues confidence that looks effortless from the outside. In truth, effortless energy is merely the visible sheen of disciplined, ritualized persistence underneath. Surround yourself with people who translate disappointment into actionable feedback, not pity. Seek mentors who can say what needs changing and peers who will test ideas without flattery. A counsel of truth tellers keeps fantasy from masquerading as strategy and accelerates course correction. Choose company that models resilience, because social context rewires what you believe about possibility. When others expect tenacity from you, it becomes easier to deliver on that expectation consistently. Communities built on iteration reward courage to try rather than the illusion of immediate perfection. Make feedback a habit, ask specific questions, accept blunt answers, and turn critique into experiments. Document what changes you make in response to feedback so progress is measurable and repeatable. The network that challenges kindly becomes a multiplier of power, converting losses into connections. Collaboration turns solitary setbacks into communal learning that lifts everyone involved forward. Language is the loom on which identity is woven. Choose words that stitch resilience into self. Replace "I failed" with "I learned a necessary lesson to refine my craft." Swap "They rejected me for this opportunity and I were not the right fit." These small shifts reduce shame and free psychological bandwidth for problem solving and innovation. Words reframe memory. The narratives you rehearse shape future choices and emotional responses. When vocabulary honors effort and iteration, it becomes easier to act with dignity under pressure. Narrative discipline is not denial of pain. It is refusal to let pain write your obituary. Practice speaking to yourself like a trusted ally who notices mistakes, but focuses on next steps. That internal ally becomes an engine of steady courage that keeps you showing up again. Over time, language becomes habit, and habit becomes the scaffolding of unshakable confidence. Turn rejection into a roadmap by mapping patterns, rather than rehearsing accusations against yourself. Track the reasons provided, the contexts, and any repeated moments of misalignment you observe. Patterns reveal whether the issue is timing, presentation, audience, or simply lack of readiness. Once identified, patterns can be treated methodically with experiments designed to change the variables. This forensic approach converts emotional chaos into a practical plan for measurable improvement. It also prevents the paralysis caused by treating isolated setbacks as universal truths about ability. When you create a living map of trial and revision, each failure refines the coordinates ahead. A map trajectory gives you agency, because you can choose which variable to alter next. Data-driven adaptation reduces chance and converts rejection into a sequence of solvable puzzles. Solve the puzzles patiently, and the map will lead you toward opportunities that fit more precisely. Practice gratitude for the clarifying role rejection plays. Thanksgiving does not deny pain. Gratitude allows you to hold both injury and insight simultaneously without losing balance. It is possible to be raw about disappointment while also thankful for lessons that sharpen resolve. Gratitude changes energy, bitterness anchors, while appreciation frees attention for creative responses. Cultivate a short ritual of naming one unexpected gift from each setback before planning next steps. This practice trains the mind to mine value even from loss and to keep curiosity alive. Curiosity, paired with gratitude, turns grief into fuel for inventive solutions rather than into self-blame. When you can thank the teacher in the story of rejection, you reclaim power over the narrative. That reclaimed power is the quiet engine that converts absence into opportunity over time. Gratitude does not erase difficulty. It simply makes recovery more generous and strategic. Balance fierce ambition with tender self-care so resilience does not calcify into hardness and isolation. Recovery is strategic, rest replenishes the cognitive resources required for creative problem solving. Schedule recovery as intentionally as you schedule practice. Both are essential for sustainable power. Sleep, movement, reflection, and joy are not indulgences but investments in reliable performance. When energy is stewarded wisely, disappointment is less likely to spiral into reactive decisions. Self-compassion keeps ambition humane and prevents the brittle edges that come from constant pressure. Treat setbacks with curiosity and care rather than with punitive comparisons and harsh inner critics. This compassionate stewardship sustains long-term grit and preserves relationships that matter most. Ambition that includes rest is durable. Ambition without care is fragile and quick to break. Honor your limits and extend them gently so resilience grows without eroding your well-being. Finally, let rejection be the fuel that sharpens your resolve and clarifies your voice, not the factor that silences it. Use every denial as a rehearsal for the next attempt, combining lessons learned with renewed audacity. Show up again with a better script, a smarter approach, and the humility of someone still learning. When persistence is practiced with intelligence and care, it becomes magnetic rather than merely stubborn. Your power will come from the accumulation of these smart returns, each one more refined than the last. Let the world measure you by the quality of your comeback, rather than the frequency of setbacks. Stand in the work and speak your truth. Impact follows those who persist with purpose and grace. Carry the embers of each rejection into a steady flame that warms and lights the path ahead. Trust the process, keep iterating, and allow courage to outlast the momentary pain of loss. Ending statement: rejection will arrive, but it will not define you. Let it sharpen you into purpose.